Hello and welcome to another episode of Bring Back Focus. In the last episode, I spoke about distractions and how everything great begins by first reducing distractions. We went into details of how distractions affect our work. In today's episode, I want to talk about some practical ways of managing distractions and some things that I use on a day to day basis with some amount of success. Before I begin the conversation, I want to mention one thing that is very, very important. I think it's very important, very easy for us to blame ourselves and our willpower uh, for lack of ability to manage these distractions. The problem is it's not just our willpower alone. The entire environment or the system is set up right now to distract us. So when we go through these strategies, think of them as a way to manage and reduce rather than eliminate. I think it is almost impossible to eliminate distractions from your day to day today. So that's one guidance. The second guidance is do what works best for you. These are some of the things that work well for me, but that doesn't mean it would work great for you as is. So think about the principles of these things rather than actual tactics. So let's start. Uh, I have a list of seven such items or seven such strategies that I use to manage distraction. Let's start with item number one. The first thing is do not try to remove distractions. As I said, it's almost impossible to eliminate. I'm sure there are some people who are like in extreme monk mode, but for a lot of us, it's impossible to remove distractions completely. So control them. So what I try to do is I have 4 or 5 times during the day when I check my noise or distractions. So I have like time blocks, let's say 11:30 a.m., 1:30, whatever. There are these time blocks. That's when I check my WhatsApp, Slack, email, things of that nature. So outside of those windows, I typically would not check all of these. But during those windows, I check all of them and respond to them as is. So that's one. The second rule that I generally use is I use almost like a ritual whenever I start something important. So what I do is I would turn on airplane mode if it is that important. I'll obviously close the email tab or email application. I close any extra tab. I would turn on my focus sound. I use an app called Endel, but there are a lot of apps like that. And I would also use a tool called Freedom.2 or Freedom for my dynamites. And I'll talk about that in the subsequent sections. But I have a ritual. The point is that there is a ritual that I have whenever I begin something important. It takes me a couple of minutes, but it really helps me get into the zone. The third thing, and probably one of the most important thing, know your dynamites and control them. So what do I mean by that? All of us have our own dynamites. For some, it would be, let's say, Instagram or Facebook. For some, it could be Slack. For me, it is LinkedIn and emails. So all of us have our dynamites, which are basically things that really, really distract us and we find it very hard to resist them. For those kind of things, I use a tool called Freedom. It is amazing. It what it does is it force closes those tabs, and even if you want to, you cannot turn them on. So know your dynamites and act upon it. The fourth thing is make your environment easy rather than trying to use your willpower. So in office, whenever it's noisy, I choose a corner and I have my headphones all the time with me. That makes it easy for me to get into to eliminate distractions or reduce distractions, sorry, and get into the zone of doing work. So for you, it could be something else. Just lower the friction. So have your notebook, have your headphones, maybe have phone in another room. That will improve the probability of you being less distracted. The fifth thing is Pick your top three items to do. So I used to, like a lot of us struggle with managing a to-do list, and I used to struggle a lot. But over a period of time, I've developed a system which is very rudimentary. I use my notebook and I write down three things that matter to me. The one most important thing and two things that are probably supporting those one thing or separate, but these are the only three things that I focus on. Now, if I get done with that, I obviously move on to the fourth, but I will not move on to the fourth thing if those three are not done. So I don't know what works for you, but this works for me. So try doing like limit the amount of important things that you do in a day. That will improve the probability of you getting those done. So it again, it's a form of reducing noise or distraction when focus on the top three. The sixth, and it's a very important one as well, you will get distracted. Despite whatever I've told you in the above five section, you will get distracted. You are going to have those kind of days. That happens to the best of us, and it's okay. Sometimes there are fires to be put off. There's something bothering you. You will get distracted. Learn to be okay with that and learn to reset. If you need to, like, close the tabs, turn off your laptop, set 10 minutes to check your Instagram or whatever, but learn to reset. I think that is going to be very critical on how you manage yourself when you go through those zones. The last, but a more deep rooted one is see yourself as somebody who cares about focus or somebody who focuses. So this is change in identity. I think it's not a lot of people talk about it. Yes, there are a lot of surface level strategies, but this is what helps you change from within. So if you think of yourself or if you identify as somebody who values their focus and somebody who focuses and reduces distraction, you'll start seeing change and people will start seeing that in you and they will stop bringing those things or distractions to you. So, you have to have an identity which says, I finish what I start. I don't multitask. I will use just one tab to do my job. And so that's how I go about it. So, seven things. One, don't try to remove or eliminate distractions, control them. Two, use a start ritual or anything that you do when you get started with something important. Third is know your dynamites and control them using tool like freedom or anything else. Fourth is make your environment easy and do not rely on willpower alone. Fifth is pick your top three every day. Sixth is you will get distracted. Learn to be okay and learn to reset. And seventh is see yourself as somebody who values their focus. Change your identity. You don't need a perfect routine. You don't need perfect strategy. Start with something small and then build on top of that. Small wins will lead you to build your focus and eliminate distraction. That's it for today's episode. Thank you, and I'll see you in another episode.